So why does division happen? Not because we actively want it to, but sometimes there are hidden forces that act on us, that divide us or keep us divided. The first one of these, and I actually get a lot of comfort from this, is that we're divided because we're human. Human beings, and as part of our evolution, have learned to form in-groups and out-groups. In caveman times, different might have meant dangerous, and being part of a group was often about survival. Ejection from a group could be the difference between life and death. The people who have remembering this are parents of teenagers who have watched their child melt down over a fight with their friends. That really extreme reaction that they have, that is, does this life or death, comes from the very real and very old feeling of fear of being expelled from their in-group. Nowadays, in-groups and out-groups are most likely known as us and them, and the division has never been so stark. We are the reasonable people. We get our news from trusted sources. Our virtues are based in our morality. And our approach to public policy has to do with freedom and justice. And then there's them. You know these people. They believe crazy things from the internet. They wear nonsense slogans on their clothing. And they literally fly their own flags. Now, while that's funny, I can tell you're also starting to feel a little uncomfortable because you've just realized you don't know if I'm one of you or one of them. And in this hyper-politicized society that we're in right now, we want to know. It's very human to want to put somebody in the box. Are you part of my in-group or part of my out-group? Because we do this and because we like to be around people that are like us, we have a tendency to self-segregate. Not out of malice or deliberate discrimination, but just because we want to find the place that makes us feel the most content, makes us feel psychologically safe. In geography, this is called the big sort, where we have self-segregated where we live, not based on racial lines or socioeconomic, but along ideology. This is why our red districts are getting redder and the blue districts are getting bluer. And we don't limit this segregation to physical spaces. We've done these online communities as well. And the self-segregation, while making for really harmonious neighborhoods, can also put us in echo chambers. And echo chambers are dangerous because they reflect back all of our beliefs and our opinions to ourselves, to the point that we don't even realize that there could be other ideas or other evidence or other ways to solve a problem. We just get stuck. Ironically, we also use division as bonding. And I'm going to preface this by saying I am not proud of this next story, but it is the best example I can think of. I was working at a company. I got a new coworker. We did not get along. We butted heads. We just couldn't get it together for months until we finally found the one thing that we agreed on. It was our dislike for another coworker. But that did it. Like we were bonded. It was like, boom, all of a sudden, us against them. And we were having the meeting after the meeting, and we were talking about how terrible this person was. But that also allowed us to get over some of our own stuff because we were a team. And then that other coworker left, transferred to a different department, I wonder why. And our relationship fell apart. Division is why team sports works, why rivalries fire us up and make us want to perform better, not just for ourselves, but for our coworkers and our teammates. Now you're probably wondering, when is she going to start talking about politics? Because politics is the reason we're all divided and everything is political. So let's talk about it. On January 17th, 1961, President Eisenhower gave his farewell address, and a big part of that speech was the warning against the military-industrial complex. And that's where our government and our military and the businesses that supplied it got in this really symbiotic relationship. And it affected public policy to the point that it's almost impossible to detangle. Eisenhower was a smart guy. And I'm going to take his framework and apply it to where we are today. I think we're in campaign industrial complex. Now, in a democracy or constitutional republic, campaigns are important because voters need information to make choices. And campaigns need to motivate you to vote, to support their candidate, to give them money, to turn out, to volunteer. And here's the thing. Happy people are really hard to motivate. Motivation is easier when there is fear or anger involved, especially if you can point the fear and anger at them. Former Congressman Adam Kinzinger gave an interview with CNN in March of 2021, and he talked about this in regards to political fundraising. He said, if I send out an email that says, please send me money so I can, make the roads better, make your life better, I'll raise a little money. But if I send out an email that says, if you don't send me $5 or $10, Nancy Pelosi's going to destroy your family, I'll raise a lot more. Campaign industrial complex is why campaigning has gotten in the way of governing. Another reason that we're divided is the way we do political media in this country. Journalism, like real journalism, and I say this respectfully, has a bias towards conflict and a bias towards fairness. So if you're talking about something political and you have a pundit on the left and a pundit on the right, you've checked both boxes. You've checked the conflict box and you've checked the fairness box. But it also leaves us with this visual that there's only two sides. You're either on this side or that side. And particularly when we talk about public policy, when was the last time there were only two sides to a story? And along with actual journalism, our media landscape is full of conflict engineers. These are people who distribute myths or disinformation, the ones that stoke fear and anger, often out of an affiliation towards one side or the other. And in my opinion, the ones that have done the most harm are the ones that present commentary and opinion as fact. Now, our consumption of news has never been higher. And it turns out that we're predisposed, again, we're human, to click on negative or outrageous headlines. And not only do we click on it, we have learned to develop this content ourselves, and human physiology is to blame. So when you do a social media post and you get a reaction, a comment, a heart, a like, an angry face, you get a little hit of dopamine up in your brain. It makes you feel good. Anything that makes humans feel good, we will do again and again. So we get to the point where we're creating the content that's going to provoke the most reactions, and then the social media algorithms are set to share the content that has the most reactions. So after a while, it's like getting caught in an avalanche of negative content, and it's just everywhere. So of course we're divided. There are things that you can do to bring down the temperature in your workplaces, in your schools, in your neighborhoods. And I won't say they're easy, but these things can help. If you have a campaign lawn sign, take it down. Most cities and towns have a specific amount of time that lawn signs can be up. And there are good reasons for this, beyond just the aesthetics of what it looks like. Being in this constant campaign cycle highlights our differences and keeps us in competition mode with our neighbors. So whether your candidate won or lost, that election is over, put the sign back in the garage and wait for the next campaign season. In politics, not a lot of people are rewarded for compromising. Most find it to be a liability. But that's not really the world the rest of us live in. We are expected to go to work and do our jobs, no matter who our teammates are. And carrots are almost always more effective than sticks when trying to influence human behavior. So instead of reprimanding division, if we celebrate collaboration in all kinds of spaces, that'll do two things. The first one is it elevates the conduct that we want to see. And then the other one is it gives people an opportunity to practice. There's a saying I like, It's hard to hate up close. So if you find yourself feeling that all the elected officials are idiots, I'm going to challenge you to prove that to yourself. Find out who represents you in the city council, state senate, Congress, whatever. Send them an email and introduce yourself. Just say, hi, I'm a constituent, just wanted to say hello. You will get an answer to this email because they almost never get them. Having a connection point that isn't a complaint is a great way to become known. Because then when they have something on their agenda or a bill, you can communicate your opinion and they want to hear from you because they already know you. You are a constituent with an opinion. You're not just some person with a problem or an advocate being paid to talk to them about it. Use official channels, be respectful, and see what happens. And if you can go through this process and through this kind of interaction, show that an elected official is an idiot, please let me know. Also, something like 99% of elected officials in this country are serving part-time. So, let your city council member do their grocery shopping in peace. They do not want to take public comment in the cereal aisle. Get your news from trusted sources. Patronize outlets that have editorial control and a code of ethics. Do not amplify outlets that pretend to be news or who promote angertainment with your dollars or your attention. If you have the opportunity, advertise as locally as possible. Local news has been shown to be the least partisan, most respected by citizens, and most important to the civic health of a community. And until it's gone, you don't know how important it is, but when it's gone, it leaves a void. Most voluntary associations of people have a lot of diversity, even ones that seem similar. All teachers union members, all Catholics, all Rotarians, they all have some things that they have in common, that's why they're part of those groups. But they also have things that, are diverse. So, actively avoid assuming, and particularly saying out loud, all Republicans support this, or all Democrats believe that. Participation in a political party should not have to equal 100% endorsement of other people's views, primarily because there's a lot of diversity. This is information from the Pew Research Center. A few years ago, they took this left versus right and broke people down into groups on a spectrum. This is a quiz you can take online. And I love this here because this shows that even in a conversation about division, not all Democrats agree with all Democrats. Not all Republicans agree with all Republicans. And that's okay. Hardest one for last. If you have somebody in your life that you just cannot get over the politics, find 5 things that you have in common and prioritize those in your relationship. It doesn't matter if it's recreational activities or your kids are in the same class or TV shows or you both like to fish, whatever. Find those 5 things and just don't talk politics. Just let it be okay. You will not be endorsing terrible public policy decisions by getting along with the other parents at the PTA meeting. You are not enabling conspiracy theories by being kind to a coworker. Sometimes we just gotta let people's crazy ideas be okay. Focus on the positive, avoid the doom scrolling, put your time and attention and energy towards what you can affect. I get it. All this division feels enormous, but I guarantee you, if you take little steps to reduce the polarization in your community, in your neighborhood, it will pay off. You might not change the whole world, but you'll change your world. You'll change somebody else's world. And a lot of little change adds up to a big change. Nobody should have to change who they are. But if we all change a little bit of how we are, then together, we can build some bridges. And bridges are how we cross the divide. Thank you.